So hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my illustrious co-host, Scouse Andy, who doesn't look as blurred today, which is brilliant. How are you, mate? You okay?
I'm all right, mate. I'm okay. You know, bit of a tough week this week, but not too bad, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, weeks, they're just flying by at the minute. We'll soon be back to football. It doesn't seem like 2 minutes since the season stopped, but we've got lots to talk about, as always. We appreciate the people who are viewing, the people in the chat. Come on board. Put your questions in the chat. We'll answer them as we go. But yeah, man, it's all going well. It's all going well this week. So I suppose, mate, we'll start with the news, as always, really. That's where we kind of start off. The first bit of news we had was after we recorded, we had the media day with the assistant coaches. They went around basically doing little snippets, couple of minutes of each assistant coach that was round. That was on the Washington Commanders YouTube page. So if you haven't seen it, go and check that out. Anyone stood out for you then, Scouse, if you watched them? I'm pretty certain you probably would have watched them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe Witt's the most important guy. I think he's the guy who really, he just tells you how it is. But it seems like a guy that you'd want to play for. Do you know what I mean? That you would want to run through a brick wall for as well. So just the things that he says, you know, he knows. He said he was ready, 6-7 years ago, to be a head coach, defensive coordinator, and now he feels he's even ready for a head coaching job now. So he's got his opportunity, but I really like what he says. I really like what Anthony Lynn said as well. And yeah, man, I mean, I think most of these guys are actually, the old team at the moment seem to be on the same page. You can tell like they all want to do the same. They want the same. They got the same vision, if that makes sense. Which is nice. I just hope it stays that way when the going gets tough later on.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I mean, the two stand out for me. Ken Norton Jr. had a really good interview. I mean, when he was talking, he looked exceptional. Talking about where he's been, what he's done, why he took the job. He was quite open and honest, answering the questions, which was pretty sweet. And then the other one, everyone railed him initially of the hire, was Bobby Johnson. He went into a lot of detail about things he'd done at Buffalo, things he'd done at the Giants, why it didn't work out, what sort of things went on. Yeah, really interesting to watch them back. So if you get the chance, go back to Commanders YouTube, have a good look at that, see what they were all talking about. It's great to see that they're going through this. I mean, we'll get onto it a bit later on when we come to combine interviews and bits and pieces like that, where we'll talk a little bit around the assistants again. The other bit of news really that came out yesterday was the NFL PA report card again came through. We were last. What a surprise. You know what I mean? What a surprise. I'll reel them off here. What do you do? I mean,
well, it kind of matches.
It kind of matches families.
Sorry, mate.
Go on, Scouse. You go, mate. Go.
I would say it kind of matches the quality on the product on the field, doesn't it? I mean, we were second worst in the division in the whole NFL, and we were the worst with the training facilities. So, yeah, man, it kind of correlates, doesn't it? Really.
Indeed, it does. I mean, the treatment of families, F-. I don't know what an F- actually is. I mean, what are they talking about? Treatment of families? That's a little bit strange.
Wouldn't that be for us? It's like a U, like an ungraded.
Yeah, an ungraded. Yeah, probably.
Or it means like 0 points.
Exactly that. Cameron, thanks for being with us, mate. Appreciate you. Wick Jr. comes across as what we thought and hoped EB would be. Absolutely right. Yep. Watching his initial interview, his press conference, we were actually doing a pod at the time he was doing his press conference. Went back and watched it. Wow, that man, I mean, honestly, I'd run for a brick wall with him. There's also an episode of Commander's Log that Logan Paulson, Fred Smoot and the gang, Santana, London Fletcher, they all went through and sat down with Joe Witt. If you get a chance, a little bit longer time, probably 20, 25 minutes, go and give that a listen, give that a watch. He was really open with what he's saying, you know, putting people in the right places to do the right jobs. He's saying things like you've picked up on, Scouse, as well, by saying, look, if it takes the player a second to think, it's the wrong play. They want instinctive, fast, violent players who know how to tackle and can get shit done. I mean, what's Dan Quinn's favourite saying? Doing difficult shit with good people, I think, was what he came out with.
Same. Yeah, doing hard shit with good people.
Hard shit with good people.
Yeah, so you're right.
Well,
Deluxe. Not everybody's good at taking tests. Yeah. Well,
true. You know, bang on.
Yeah, especially like EB. I mean, he can't take a test. I mean, he's shite. I mean, look how bad he's being at
interviewing.
Speaking about himself in the third person. You get nowhere, man.
Speaking of shite, Simon Thurston, good buddy, shout out to you, Simon. He said, great show, lads. He's scouting the Kazi. For all those watching in the US, the Kazi is what we call the toilet or the bathroom, as you guys would call it. But yeah, thanks for being with us. We really appreciate
Simon.
you gents popping
just
in.
No, bro. No. That is something that Scotty 10 shits, remember.
That's me. That's me.
Remember that.
Yeah, that is me.
10 shits. No.
You're absolutely right. Food and cafeteria, we got a D+. Nutritionists and dietitians a B-. Locker room F-. Strength training staff A. Weight room C. Training room F-. Training staff F. Team travel F. Head coach C. Ownership B. I mean, it's not looking good, is it? I mean, all I'm going to say with this is, look, is making sure that we. It's not having a clue. Exactly that. You watch too many shows, Cameron. You really do. You watch my other show as well, where we're all on all the time. Hi, Rod. Nice to see you, mate. Appreciate you being with us as always. Difficult reading that report card, but I'm pretty certain it will get better, and we'll get into that a little bit later on.
For one of the better grades, there was ownership. B. Now the thing is, they haven't proven anything yet. So how do you rate it a B? They've done nothing.
I don't know.
Besides, do a little top rate on the stadium a little bit.
Do you need to prove yourself, or is it the fact that Dan's not here anymore?
Well, if you're getting rated, so are you getting judged by so many people? You know, it's got to be. You know, it's got to be more to it than just the nice guys. You know what I mean? Because obviously Josh comes across like a nice dude, and you know what I mean, those type things. But I don't know, man. I think that one's a little bit premature. A B ownership at the moment.
Oh, and again, we've got a part of this show. We will get onto that. So next bit of news then really was there was a bill that went through the House of Congress in the US. It passed unanimously, 347 to 57. Huge step to get this bill to give RFK site back to the DC government, the local government. That has passed. It goes before the Senate next week. We're expecting it will be past the Senate next week. Then Biden has another 1 week, and then that is signed off, and the land will be given back to the DC government, which in turn we will then most likely purchase that land because the land will have a demarcation on it that a stadium for the Washington Commanders can be put on that site. It's a huge step to get back to DC. We all want this to happen. All those who were not on board with the name change, listen, I get it. I understand completely. I started as a Redskins fan. You started as a Redskins fan. We're not bothered about saying the R word on this pod. It makes no difference to me at all. That is what we're called historically. Our Super Bowls were won under that name. We went under the name of the football team for a season, which was just a bit of a joke. I don't mind the name Commanders. It's grown on me a bit, but there is always going to be people who want it changed back or want a new name brought in. We get that. We're going to be pending a new name at some stage later on.
I think it's all about that. We want, obviously, we all want to be called the Redskins again and have the emblem back because it's the iconic emblem. More than anything, more than the Redskins name, it's the emblem that's more iconic. Like you can put that emblem anywhere in the world, and people will know that was Washington. That was the Redskins. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
That's how important it is. That one. So
you know, it's strange now because I walk round, and I'm sure I've seen you as well do this. I walk around with Redskins emblems on from
yeah,
old.
all the time, man.
I'll wear a hat, I'll wear a woolly hat, whatever, because it's winter, and people will stop and go, Redskins.
Yeah,
You know, and you're like, yeah, exactly.
The emblem is iconic, and that's so. I think if we could get like a bit of a 50-50 split there, okay, we can't have the Redskins name. Why can't we just have the emblem and call ourselves something similar? Like maybe even go back to the Braves, even when we were originally started. You know, something like that. That still leads us into the iconic emblem, and I think a lot of fans would definitely get behind that more than the Commanders and all this crap. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's one of them, man. I mean, would I love to go back 100%? 100% I would. I mean, I'll snap your hand off right now, but we know it's not going to happen. But again, can we get a compromise? That's the way we're looking for. A compromise, and can we get the emblem? At least get the emblem back, even if we can't have the name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Deluxe has said something here. He said, "Do you see the Redskins was removed from the Super Bowl rings that were projected on the Sphere in Vegas?"
I saw that. Yeah, absolutely disgusting. I mean, this is still history, man. There's still a history of the NFL. You can't start changing shit like that. You know, it's well out of order. I was fuming when I first saw that. Absolutely fuming.
David Glasgow Skins in the chat. We've got a question from you later on, so thank you in advance for putting them in. Rod, same for you, mate. Same for you, Deluxe, as well. You are the bread. You are the bread of this channel. You guys are there. We're just the middle of the sandwich. Really appreciate you being with us. We are. Yeah.
I know I'm going to call you Swiss. Give it a
Swiss. Give it a Swiss. Would you expect us to move training facilities once we do move and build the new stadium, which should improve these future report scores? Absolutely, I do. I mean, the business side of the operations already moved out. You know, they've gone, which is brilliant. And I think, yeah, we do. I mean, we'll get onto that. I mean, there's been the other thing we talked about here is there's been key upgrades announced to FedEx Field. I'll go through a little list here. So we've got Game Day VIP Tunnel Club, where you can purchase access to cheer the team on from feet away. Improved food and beverage and new drinks lines. The sound quality, again, is going to go throughout the stadium, get an upgrade on that. And I'll be honest with you, Scouts, when we were there this time round, you could actually notice the difference between the first season we went and then the following year. You could notice the sound quality was there. I mean, these whole game day, like people on the field who are talking, introducing people, you can't hear a word of that. So that has to improve. And it's an additional 75 million over the next 2 off seasons, which is good to see. This is going to improve these report scores. But do I take any notice of these report scores? This is 1,700 players who've been scored across the NFL. It's the players' scores, dude. The millionaires, they're getting paid a fortune. I don't go around my work and go, oh, there's a bucket with water hanging out of it because I'm sitting in my office.
Think about it when we used to play rugby and stuff like that and footy.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They had. We'll take the FedEx Field F-. Do you know what I mean? Compared to what we used to playing in. What the hell, and getting changed in. You know, that's madness. But it is definitely dated, like, well, I mean, yeah.
You're absolutely right. And then the last bit of news, really, that we've got before we get onto Combine and other bits and pieces is FedEx. The naming rights have gone. They've gone 2 years early. They've given, obviously, they've pulled out of the naming rights. I don't know if that's a joint decision or if that's a decision from FedEx themselves, but we now do not have a name to the stadium.
He's the main guy. He's the main guy, and it was so petty between him and Dan Snyder that we ended up.
Yeah, he was a part owner, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a minority owner. The problem was that Snyder wasn't paying them. Snyder was robbing their money, basically. And so that's the reason why they started kicking off, saying we want our money, which is fair enough. But then Snyder wouldn't pay him. So then they went, okay, then we'll fuck you over. What we'll do, we'll cause all this shit, and you lose the Redskins name, because he knew that that's what Dan Snyder loved more than anything else, was the name. So just to hurt him, it's just really, really petty, but really it fucked off all the fans. So no wonder these fools have decided to get out, because they had an option to get out of this year with 2 years left on their contract. I'm glad they're gone. I'm glad I haven't got to speak about FedEx anymore. They're part of the problem, along with Dan Snyder. So, you know.
And that's just, you know, it did detach away from it as well. You know, when the colours were there of the FedEx packaging and all that along the top of the stadium. I know they've got rid of that for a couple of years now, but it just looked like a soulless bowl that detached away from anything to do with the team itself. And I think they've upgraded that now. And you can see that the color scheme matches the seats, it matches all the way around the stadium. I'm not trying to big up FedEx Field at all, but
Fred Smith can FedEx himself off to the fucking wherever he wants to go. The Maldives, he can fuck off.
Yeah, Cayman Islands or somewhere like that. See you later. Yeah, who cares? Who cares indeed? But you're absolutely right. Rod, thanks for that. Yeah, more immediately, we now need to get a new stadium sponsor. Won't have much before 2028, so it most likely include a new stadium for, say, 20 years.
I mean, even Jason Wright's mentioned that it's going to take a bit longer than 2027, which is when our original lease runs out. Well, what we call it now, Commander Stadium for now. Should we call it that?
Yeah, Commander's Field, isn't it, really?
Yeah, Commander's Field, yeah. So it's one of them. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to get somebody in to help us now. And then with that kind of option to...
Don't be surprised if we find a sports betting company becomes the name of the stadium, because that is pretty much where we're going to go.
MGM, the MGM Field.
Yeah, or FanDuel Stadium, that sort of, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. That's kind of where we're going to go. There'll be a sports book somewhere along the line that will sponsor the stadium. And don't be surprised if that comes in. That comes in when we move back to RFK, because I genuinely think the biggest news of this that's been gone under the radar, the biggest news of this week has been the fact that we are one step closer to getting back to Washington, which is going to be pretty awesome, because I never experienced that. You've never experienced that. I'm not sure half the people in our chat have experienced that. Deluxe, I'm pretty certain you haven't. Rod, maybe you have. Glasgow Skins, Dave, maybe you have. Simon, again, not sure if you've ever had the experience of going there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We went and actually looked at RFK. We had a look at it when we went out there the first year, just to see a bit of nostalgia, walk down memory lane, but couldn't get in. So yeah, it was quite interesting to look at that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the news so far this week, apart from the combine visit. Got to go through the combine visit. Who turned up? Who went? What went
this,
on?
This question from Deluxe.
Simon. Oh, from Deluxe. No S at the end.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this one. I like the Washington Brave.
Washington Brave. Yeah.
Rather than the free, like land of the free and home of the brave, like obviously part of the American slogan.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't mind it. I'd put up with that. I'd have that. As long as we can get the Redskins emblem back, I'll be all for that, man.
You went to a playoff game at RFK. Fair play to you. Okay, yeah. I doff my imaginary cap that's on.
Rod was there.
And Rob was there in '84. There you go. Happy days. Now we're
I was one. Hey, Rod, I was one at that point, mate.
I was born. Yeah, not ideal. We're pulling out the big dogs here, but yeah, fair one. And David, no RFK for you. Fair enough, mate. But we'll get back someday. We'll all go back. Why don't we all go back? Let's get that sorted.
We will. I think we'll definitely all go back once it's built again. You know,
exactly. So the combine then, Scouse, and yeah, we'll look at the combine. Who went, who didn't go.
It's literally starting just now, isn't it? It's literally starting. The actual drills and things.
I think the drills are starting around about now, 3:00, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah.
So we are 20 past 3. So it'll be interesting to see what's happened. So the first people who went, well, Adam Peters went, Lance Newmark went, Martin Mayhew went, Eugene Shen, Rob Rogers, Brian Porter. If those who don't know who Brian Porter is, he is the director of football operations. So his job is to make sure that these visits that we're going to at the draft, that we see, that we try and get people in back to Ashburn when they come up on their actual visits. All that money is taken care of, all of the personnel, all of their travel when they get down there, all that sort of stuff is taken care of by him. That's his role. Rob Rogers, capologist, my man, is there, obviously looking at the cap side of things. Josh Harris, managing partner, went. Head coach, obviously, Dan Quinn was there. And Eugene Shen, senior vice president of football strategy, our analytics guy. Basically, they've rolled out the red carpet for this and took absolutely everybody who has an interest in a draft board.
Isn't it? Definitely.
No, let's look at it. You're looking at it from a big business point of view. You've got Rob Rogers there, who's looking at the cap, who's looking after contracts, who's looking at how much signing bonus people are going to get when they come through the draft, how much money we need to put aside for that. You've got Eugene Shen, who's purely looking at it from an analytical point of view. I mean, you may want to watch the drills and look at what they're doing. Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Lance Newmark. Lance Newmark, for me, I kind of got a bit of an explanation of what his role as assistant GM is. He's kind of the conduit between Adam Peters as the GM and Eugene Shen on the analytics side of life. And it's marrying up them two and saying, right, well, let's marry them two parts of football up. And then we'll go back to Adam Peters and say, this is the decision that we're going to make. And not everything is, not everything's going to fall on Adam Peters, but the likes of, Dan Quinn, positional coaches, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they're going to be screaming for players on draft boards and where we select them. And Eugene Shen's going to do that wizardry for the analytics to say, well, actually, this is the linebacker you want, not this guy. We can get better value trading back. We can get better value in the 5th round if we select this guy. Gonna be really interesting. All these guys are there for that reason. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how we shape up with this. And then this week we've had interviews. So we had Dan Quinn got an interview. He got an interview, pretty cool interview with the NFL insiders. So your Ian Rappaport's of the world, them sort of people. About 2.5 minute clip. If you go on Ian Rappaport's Twitter, you can see it on there. He got all this, what he said, Dan Quinn, one thing that stood out for me was that he got all the staff together to create a vision board of each position on the roster. So each positional coach, your Anthony Lynn's, your Ken Norton's, all these people who've come in have gone out and said, this is what I want in this player. If I want the ideal linebacker, this is what I need. If I want the absolute ideal offensive line, this is what I need. I need, a big anchor. I need strong hips. I need big quads. I need the hand speed. I need, the ballerina dance. That's what I kind of, it's not just the fat man dance for 30 seconds.
There is more minute traits type thing.
Exactly. And he's put that all together so that everybody seems to be singing off the same song sheet, which is awesome. Because you talked about it before we first opened the show, we've been going 20 minutes now, but, it was about 2 or 3 minutes in, you said, it seems like all the assistants are singing off the same song sheet, that everyone seems to be together. This can only be something that you put together if everyone's doing that. If we have a vision board, then that's there. And this also, it gets everyone on the same page. It promotes the communication. And when Dan Quinn got the job, he sat in that chair and in his interview, in his presser, he said, I have gone and done a 360 and looked at what went wrong, where my blind spots were. This is surely evidence of him doing that because there's so many people in that room. I mean, what was it, 26 Super Bowls, either as players or as coaches that they've won together, that we've now looking at this team. And how many head coaches is it? 4 that we've got that are in the staff? They've all got experience from different places. And now they're all going to be bringing in their own little areas of knowledge. And if Dan Quinn can see his blind spots and do it differently this time, I'm quite fired up about this, man. I'm really liking the hire.
I just think it's quite, I think, be quite difficult as well because, as you say,
temper expectations.
Yeah, well, that's one. I mean, also just melding all these kind of ideas together into one kind of fluid scheme as such, because that's what he's trying to do, isn't it? It's like a fluid scheme. It's like a little bit of Brian Johnson, then a little bit of what's his name, Kingsbury, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then it's like sprinkling this dude and it's me and Anthony Lynn, a little bit of that, and then it's great, but they've got to make sure that this is an absolute solid playbook from all the way in and out. Do you know what I mean? From not just plays for the sake of having a play available in the book. It's kind of like, no, there's a reason for why you want this play. You know what I mean? Like a real reason. And all, again, to be on the same wavelength and make sure it's not too hard to understand as well for the players. Because I say, if you've got so many different playbooks and so many different, you've got to name it the same throughout. And these guys probably haven't been naming the same things. You know what I mean? Like for example, Scott Turnham's all about numbering systems. Yeah. Wide receiver 1, 2, 3, rather than X, Y, and the Z and the Z. It's only little things like that, but it makes the players think extra hard. So just making sure that all the guys, when they create this playbook, that they all are on the same wavelength and actually naming it the same, if that makes sense as well, so the players understand it a lot quicker, which I'm sure they will do. You're not stupid, but it's just very, very important that you do that.
Yeah, Simon, to Simon's point, and we've got it up in the chat here, he said, I feel that all the big guns going to the combine shows the emphasis we're placing on everyone being aligned, solid strategy. That's the key word, Simon, that we're being hearing in the offseason, isn't it? It's aligned vision and alignment, that everyone's together, that everyone's talking about it. Listen, I'm fired up about it. I'm fired up about Dan Quinn being here. I'm fired up at the staff that he has assembled, because ultimately, let's look at what we wanted, or what thought we were going to get in Ben Johnson. Potentially, Ben Johnson's in there. Would he have assembled this staff? I don't think so. Not at all.
He hasn't got the contacts, I don't think, to be able to actually pull all these guys, have the real weight to actually get these guys in. I mean, all these guys, when you mentioned all the interviews earlier, one thing we didn't mention was that everyone said exactly the same thing about working for Dan Quinn.
Exactly that, yeah, exactly that.
And the guy's a great man, and also he's a great coach. He knows exactly what he's doing. So,
did you see the Commanders log this week? The one that they've put a new 25-minute YouTube video out of Adam Peters come in, of them going to the Senior Bowl. It was when Adam Peters is at the Senior Bowl, and then Dan Quinn was announced. So he basically got a phone call saying, "Yeah, we're going to hire Dan Quinn." Within 5 minutes, you saw people from every organization coming up going, what a hire. What a good guy DQ is. What a great bloke this is. That's a fantastic hire. You're going to love him. You know what I mean?
Using the word stud. He's a stud, man. He's a
stud. Yeah. And you think to yourself, wow, this is, and we're not just talking there's a few organizations out there, fans will say what they say on Twitter, oh, shit, or it was a retread, blah, 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 blah. You listen to what people actually say about the dude. And they are in the football world, which is where it matters. They are quite good with this hire. I am too. I think we've got to give it a whirl, and he seems to have learned from his mistakes, which is what I want to see. But yeah, I mean that is it really in the combine. Adam Peters had an interview. He's saying Adam Peters' biggest giveaway from the interview was, we need to find our new quarterback. And that was straight after when he was talking.
That was the first thing he virtually said, wasn't it? It's like, mate, that's what you get, man. You let your guard down just for a touch, mate, just for a touch, and then you let something slip. But to be fair, we all knew deep down that number 2, we were going quarterback. We weren't going to trade down. There's just no chance. Chicago,
agreed.
It looks like Fields is going to Atlanta. It looks near enough signed, sealed, near enough. So
yeah, I've seen that they're talking about that. The trade picks away. And what did I say to you 3 weeks ago? I said to you, and you said, let's play hardball. Let's do the Eli Manning side of the trade.
Yeah, well, we're screwed now because we've got no leverage now because they're selling with the Fields.
But I said that to you. I said all will be revealed at the combine, because the combine is where deals get done. We all know that deals get done. GM bumps into another GM and says, hey, what do you think about this player? Oh, yeah, I really like that player. Okay, well, look, I'll tell you what, we'll give you a 4th for him. Yep, no problem at all. Or, what are you going to do at this time? Well, actually, yeah, I'm going to, I'm going to trade down from this pick. Or you want to trade down? Okay, we'll give you this. That's where everything gets done. This whole things get done on the night of the draft is complete bullshit. Very much nothing gets done on the night of the draft. Calls are already made. Favorites are already on people's phones. The GMs ring in the other GM saying, listen, you still want to do that deal? Yeah, I still want to do that deal. Okay, we'll trade back, we'll trade up, whatever it may be. And I think a lot of that is going to happen. And I think we'll surprise a few people as well with our picks. I didn't hear Dan Campbell's comments, Deluxe, on Johnson, but you took away from it that he's a better OC than head coach candidate. Interesting, because actually next cycle, I don't think he'll get a turn. I don't think he'll get interviews at all.
I don't think the Lions are going to be as good an offense as they have been recently. I really don't. I just got a feeling that they're just going to be found out a little bit. So I don't think the expectation is going to be that high.
Once it's on tape, mate, it's difficult to go back.
The pinnacle for him was going this year and going somewhere, but fair enough. Maybe he likes to be number 2 rather than number 1.
What is it? John Taman always says offenses innovate, defenses adapt. And once the defense is adapted, you ain't going to get anything out of it.
Or you're going to get screwed. Exactly, man. That's exactly
that.
And that's what I like about Dan Quinn, because he has actually changed his defensive schemes regularly to be able to adapt to the new NFL the way it's played now compared to say 5, 6, 7 years ago. So,
yeah. So, I mean, interestingly enough, we had the other thing that's come out of the combine. Now, people have been talking about this over the last 24 hours. It's Josh Harris. Josh Harris is in the quarterback interviews. He sat in on the 6 interviews for the top QBs. Is this a red flag? That is the question to you, Scouse, and I'll let you go at this, mate, for now.
I mean, I don't think it's a red flag. I know we're all kind of burnt from the Dan Snyder era and him getting involved all the time and making stupid, ridiculous picks at draft day. But the way, as long as he stays out the way, basically, yeah, he can be there. He can obviously get involved with the kind of, the interview process and learning the process and all that. I'm fine with that. But as long as he stays out the way when it comes to the real decision, when it comes to actually decision making, just don't even be in the room when they make that decision. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the way it should be. Owners own, GMs manage. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what it's about. So, as long as he stays out the way, I'm fine. But yeah, I can see why a lot of fans are kicking off and worried about it, because we're thinking,
absolutely, and
2.0 here, and we don't want that.
Deluxe slid into my DMs, and he has asked us a question. If you want to go and follow Deluxe, he is at @arch_Deluxe on X. He said a lot of talk this week about red flags. Has the new regime thrown any flags up for you so far? It may be the honeymoon period, but I haven't seen any. I agree with that. I haven't seen any massive red flags. I mean, the other thing that came out of it was Jesse Martin, host of the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. You can go and watch that as well. He came out and said, look, this is something that Josh Harris does. He's done it for his NBA team. He's done it for his NHL team. He always sits in and watches the process, but he doesn't get involved in the actual picking of players. And there was an article back in September that I think Tony Week brought up in our chat. He said, look, I'm not going to get, it was around the 53-man roster last season. He said, I wanted to be involved in the more difficult decisions to understand what went on, but I'm not going to get involved in how players are actually picked. And for me, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I don't have an issue at all. Dude, at the end of the day, you spent $6 billion on this team. You're going to need a say on what is going on. But if it's not your say and you're happy with what the process is happening, that's why you hire a general manager. That's why you hire an assistant.
That's why he spends out. I mean, and let's face it, this staff isn't cheap. He
spends a lot of money
cheap. Along with all the other owners to get these guys in. None of these guys are going to be dirt cheap. None of them. So he spent a lot of money there. So let them do their job. You can be there, sure, but just don't get in the grids. Don't don't whisper in people's ears, all that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is why I really like this guy. I really like this Drake May guy instead, or blah blah blah. Because that will make Peters think more, because he's the owner. You see what I mean? Even though Peters is the actual scout and his mates are scouts and all the rest of them, the owner's in your ear. You're gonna take it that he's still my boss. Do you know what I mean? So, there's always going to be an element to that. So just hope that Josh doesn't really give out his opinions on players until we've either selected them or hired them, signed them on free agency, whatever, before actually saying anything. Do you know what I mean? That's all I want. I want him to own, but I don't want him to be getting involved as in the day-to-day running or, picking players, all those type of things.
Yeah, you don't want the called-in pick off the yacht like we used to have. That just
yeah.
I mean, we're not Dallas. Jerry did that. Does that for years, and Dan obviously did that too. Rod's got a question there. He said, apparently only observed the process with no input. Absolutely fine by me as well. David said exactly the same thing.
I've got no problem with that. It says as long as it stays that way and he doesn't start to get that feeling of power, but it might not be this off season. It might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. No. He's going to be getting used to this process. He's going to be feeling really comfortable with it. I just hope he doesn't change the way he's thinking at the moment and just staying out the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. And Rod's just said there, that quote came from JP Finley. So, yeah, I can take that as read. I mean, David, again, Glasgow Skins, he said, I've no issue with that at all. He said the new owner is probably looking to see how it all works. There's difference between an owner who is involved and an owner who's controlling. spot on.
100%, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
the
there's a fine
problem is
line,
this fan
especially when you've
base.
got that power and you can just turn it
Yeah,
a little bit towards yourself. And it's dead easy to do that, very slightly over years. You know what I mean? So,
David, do you want me to send you the link for this pod? Because you just taken the words out of my mouth, mate. He's just basically saying people just have Dan Snyder PTSD and we're worrying too much. Completely agree with you.
And we do.
Blowing everything out of proportion.
But can you blame a lot of the guys, though? A lot of the fans?
No, of course I can't. No, I don't blame them. But this is where we are. We have to trust the process.
It's real. This Dan Snyder PTSD is real, man. Like, it really is real.
Absolutely.
We're always thinking about, okay, you're doing something good. When's the shoe going to drop and where's the shit bit? Because it's going to happen at some point, and that's what you expect. At the moment, it's not happening that way, which is nice. But again, we're always going to wait for it. We're always going to be waiting for it, aren't we? Thinking about it. Is some shady thing going to happen soon, or not? And let's see how it goes.
So we'll get into our fan questions then to kind of finish us off, but we'll keep the chat going and we'll keep going with other bits and pieces that we've got. Rob Morrison, obviously, he's in our chat at the moment. He's at Rod Moore 39721910. He has said it's 3 questions actually. So thanks, Rod. Obviously appreciate you. He said many different opinions on what to do at the draft, but these 2 points should always be remembered. 1, it takes more than one draft to fix all our needs. And 2, trust AP and DQ. Couldn't agree more with you. It's going to take a while. You know this. You've been a regular listener and a regular contributor to this show for a while now. You know, if you've listened back to these pods, I have pleaded patience for about 4 to 5 weeks and said, listen, just hold on. It's going to be a shit season again. If we win 6 games, I'll be over the moon with that. I really would be. I know it sounds stupid, but if we win 6 or 7 games, no problem. But do not come out and expect us to be the Houston Texans of this year. It isn't going to happen. If it does happen, fantastic, absolutely amazing. You're ahead. You've excelled above where you should be. We found and hit massively in the draft. But it's one of them. It's one of them. You know what I mean? It's like, what do we do? What do we do here? We have to plead patience. All right, James, thanks for being with us, mate. Really appreciate it. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but thank you for your question. I agree with you completely, Rod. Trust the process.
That's what you've got to do. Fans, that's all you can do realistically, and just try and feel that at peace with it all. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much we talk or take the piss out of certain players or staff or whatever, at the end of the day, we've still got to trust the process. We still got to trust what these guys are going to do because we don't really have any say in it. So, it's just, it is what it is. But, yeah, I mean, just be at peace with, let these guys do their job and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I agree with you. Next one, he said the pressers and the combine were interesting, in particular when Dan Quinn said the importance of a quarterback having a good deep ball. So it has the traits of both Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy. I feel we might surprise a few people with our draft selections. I think we might surprise people with our draft selections further down the line, but I'm not 100% certain on or sold on either. I honestly don't think we can miss off the first 3. I would prefer Drake May purely because of not an athleticism side, but purely because he's the prototypical size of a quarterback that you want. He has a deep ball too. He just seems to make a few mistakes with the short and intermediate reads. Needs a bit of work on his poise as well in the pocket, but he doesn't have a problem stepping up the pocket. When you're 6'4", you're going to be able to see over the top of your offensive line, which Jaden Daniels seems to tuck and run a lot. You know what I mean? And he has got a great deep ball. Don't get me wrong, but you said it last week, Scouse. He takes the hit. He takes them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. With Jaden Daniels, everyone's scared about the injuries, but the thing is, though, he's never been injured. So the way he plays in college, he's never been injured. He's played every game, 55 games. So if you think about it from durability, he is actually fine, even though he does take some Madden style hits sometimes, hit sticks. You know what I mean? Some of the tackles he's had are real. I genuinely believe after listening to those 2 interviews that you just mentioned, I think we're going to go Jaden Daniels. I really do. I think we're going. I don't. Personally, for me, I don't prefer him personally, but I do think that Daniels is going to be the guy. Everything Dan Quinn was
Okay.
talking about, it's Jaden Daniels, like 100% skill set, where Drake May's probably about 90% of his skill set, if that makes sense. Where everything he's talking about, every single trait that he mentioned, it's Jaden Daniels all the way. That's exactly who it is. So, would we go wrong in any of those two? I don't think we will, but I think at the moment it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I really do.
It just, we talked earlier about, I mean, David put it in earlier on the chat saying, look, we've got PTSD from Dan Snyder. Man, I've got PTSD from RG Knee. Dude, it just, I just can't see. I mean, that guy made me a fan. Do you know what I mean? Genuinely made me pin my colors to the mast. That was why I was there. That run against the Vikings, I was sold. That was it for me. And I think, fucking hell, Robert, you've done it for me. This is it. You know what I mean? This is where I'm at. And then I think to myself,
And again, James, you're not wrong. You're not wrong in that, man. It's Lion season. You're right.
It is Lion season. He's absolutely spot on.
You could be sending us down to Swanee, and we'll pick some guy who's, maybe Phoenix at 3 or something, or or trade down and go get him at 8 or something. These things could happen, man. But that's it. Sometimes in this direction you can overthink things as well. Sometimes it is literally he's just telling you the truth, and that's what he's actually going to do. I mean, the one thing I didn't look at throughout this, last couple of weeks, the last week or so. Do you know Joe Alt is only 20?
Wow, is he really?
And he turned 20 this month. He was 19.
Oh my word!
Mate,
imagine the size he's going to be in 4 years' time.
How good is he going to be? I mean, honest to God, man. I mean, if you can somehow pull the trigger and get Joe Alt somehow, I mean, his dad was a pro, but his dad was an all-pro left tackle. Do you know that?
He was, yeah. He was, yeah.
I mean, he's already fundamentally sound when you look at his skill set. And he's 6'8". I mean, you can't teach size, mate. You know what I mean? And I think
no, you can't.
Man, he's going to be. Whoever's going to get him, he's going to get him for 15 years.
It's going to be that
15 years, man. Solid left tackle.
I was Team Joe Alt as well, but I can't see.
I always have, but even then, I thought he's like 23, something like that. No, he's just turned 20 this month. So
wow. Deluxe also put another question into us. He said in 2012, Shanahan wanted Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins, who were late round picks over RG3. How would you feel if this regime actually passed on QB at 2 and drafted this year's Cousins/Wilson? I wouldn't 100% be against it, but what I would say, Deluxe, is if you don't trade down, that is criminal. Absolutely effing criminal.
Yeah, if you're not going to pick the top 3 quarterbacks, you've got to trade down to no less than the top 10. Yeah, less than the top 10.
You're not going to get Joe Alt in the top, outside the top 5, in my opinion.
Well, yeah,
I really don't think.
3, the first 3, aren't you? And then you're looking at Harrison, and then you're probably maybe 5th. I mean, he could be
possibly Malik Neighbors. Not sure.
Probably a bit high for him, even though he's good. I think Harrison's going to go number 1.
Harrison will be the first wide receiver, but does 2 wide receivers come straight off the board?
Yeah,
you don't know.
We have to drop down a bit. I mean, if we get we can get something like if we can get to say even just trade with Arizona at 5, and get Joe Alt that way, and then you've got. And then you probably get another first from somebody, maybe a second or third, something like that as well.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah,
and maybe, and I don't know if you draft a Bo Nix, a JJ McCarthy late back end of the first round, trade back in, take that 5th-year option.
Yeah, I think that's the key. You want to kind of, if you're thinking that this guy's going to be the real deal and he's going to be a predicted 2nd round pick. You come in and try and get up to number 32, just like they did with Baltimore, did with Lamar, so you can get that 5th-year option. If you genuinely believe this guy's going to be the man, then absolutely do that. I'm happy for him to go back up if that made the case. It'd be nice. I mean, it would be nice to get the bookend tackles. It really would be nice, and then have maybe the quarterback next year if we had to. But yeah, man, I just think I can't see us dropping down, but. It would be very interesting, to tell you that.
I know.
I think a lot of fans would be mental, mate, if we give up on Daniels or May.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I know. So David Glasgow is at Glasgow Skins on X or Twitter, whichever you want to call it. He said, "Is there anyone you feel
Oh,
can
that's-
project themselves into a conversation around our second or third round picks by combine performances that have so far gone under the radar? Maybe a roundabout way of asking who your sleepers are." Now, I got a list here of people. Now you can drop them down. I'm happy to send you them on X via direct message, whatever. These are the people I'm kind of looking at and have been looking at. I've read reviews, sat on with people like Adam Aniba, George Carmi, the likes, read PFF. I'm looking at these and saying Jatavion Sanders at tight end is unbelievable out of Texas. Both Robin.
He's in my draft, man. He's in my draft.
Yeah. Both Robinsons, Darius Robinson and Chop Robinson. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them at edge. For me, Darius Robinson is better than Chop Robinson. He's more athletic. He's got a better bend in him off the edge. Can play either side of the edge as well. It doesn't matter which way you sit him.
Are these predicted to be second rounders, though?
Yeah.
But what he's asking us about, like, is there anything like maybe might jump up?
Yeah. I mean, possibly Bucky Irvin, Blake Corum, Roman Wilson as a wide receiver, Brendan Rice as well as a wide receiver. They're probably second to third round picks, but it depends. It depends on what you do in free agency. I think what you've got to do is sign in free agency, and then from there we supplement through the draft. Now, I went at you. I gave you a scenario. I'm happy to share that with everybody on here. So I said, right, what do we talk about? We talked about Fashanu at 36. Is he left or right tackle? And then you said, keep Leno for another year and take left tackle next season. And I said, no, fuck him off. Save $7.5 million. Don't let the door hit Logan Thomas's ass on the way out. That's another $5 million. For free agency, what I want to see on the line is you sign Jonah Williams from Cincinnati. I know it hasn't worked out for him the last year, but he's projected to 3 years, $30 million with a 10 million average and a 10 million guarantee. You sign Mike Onwenu from the Pats, who a 3 year, 42 million with 22 million guaranteed, 13 million average salary. He was the third best right tackle in the league last year and gave up only 2 penalties, and that's from PFF. Then you sign Lloyd Cushenberry from Denver, who was the third best center in the league, 4 year, $53 million deal. 36 guaranteed, average of 13 mil. That would still give us on the cap projections, if you work it properly, that would still give us 50 million to spend. So it's not undoable. Then you look at then you draft for depth, all right? And your O-line, I mean, you look at the O-line then, so you're going to say what? You've got your left tackle is, Jonah Williams. You've got a left guard who's probably going to be a draft pick. Your Lloyd Cushenberry at center, Sam Cosmi at right guard, Mike Onwenu at right tackle. That's your starting offensive line. How much better is that offensive line? Unbelievable. That's the offensive line sorted. And you draft for depth. If you can get a Fashanu, amazing. Happy days. Go and get him. Go and get him out there.
I just don't see all those things happening. I mean, and to be fair,
if I was Rob Rogers, I'd do that.
It seems nice enough, but again, Jonah Williams is one of them guys, who was okay at left tackle, moved to right tackle because they brought Orlando Brown in last year.
Yeah.
And he was pissed off, and he wants to leave. That's why he's leaving. But again, yeah, okay, he's decent, but is he much better than Leno? And I'm not saying Leno's good, by the way. I'm not saying Leno's good at all. I'm just saying, you're paying like a 50 mil deal for him when where you can have Leno for 1 more year and actually get yourself a real deal.
I know.
And then for me, it's kind of like to answer his question about any guys who are a bit lower down who might really produce at the combine, who might push themselves back up again into a higher, maybe into our third or second rounders. I mean, I think there's a tackle who plays for Yale.
Oh, he's unbelievable. Yeah, I can't pronounce his surname.
Wait a minute. I've got it here. Kieran Amagaji. Kieran Amagaji. Yale. He's 6'5", 320. Played
Oregon. He was an Oregon transfer, wasn't he?
I'm unsure where he came from, but I know he played for
I'll
Yale
tell
for
you
about
now.
3 years, 2 years. So it wasn't like he was there for a couple of years. I've got okay again, yeah, not always amazing schools, but against the teams he played who were better, he destroyed their pass rushes. I mean, I think he's given up 2 sacks in 2 seasons. And in like we're talking 1,200 snaps. So it's
Yeah,
not like
so
it's really,
on
really
that
good
guy,
player. But he
we
tore his thigh. He tore his
did.
thigh last game, 4th game of the season this year. So his stock's going to drop. His projection was 2nd rounder.
Yeah.
But with this quad tear, he's probably going to go down to about the 4th round. So if he has a good combine, you can see him flying back up the actual into the 2nd round, or maybe our 3rd, as you said before.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I talked to Ken Johansson about this on the Bleeding Burgundy pod, because genuinely, I wrote his name down here, mate, and had a look at it. And I've got it here. He's a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He went to Oregon, and then he moved to Yale and transferred to Yale to be closer to home. That was his whole.
Really? That way he moved really closer.
Yeah. That's why he moved. It wasn't anything to do with the fact that, I'm playing for a shit school. He's 6'6", he's 6'6", 315, and he can play both tackle spots. Sign me up.
And guard as well, because he did play guard as well one season. You only plays left tackle, but he played it. No, Jesse, I think we need to say bye. You work on your banana hammock body. No thanks, mate. Keep that away from me, bro.
Yeah, look at James Lowe. Yeah. If you want to get alt.
No, wait there a minute. Yeah, wait there a minute. Let's go back to JJ McCarthy going top 10. No. No. The guy sucks, bro. There's a reason why.
He doesn't suck.
There's a reason why that
he's QB4. He's QB4.
No, he's probably on QB6 at the best. At the best.
No.
I mean,
don't agree with you.
Michigan, what did he do? Never give the ball in his hand. You threw the ball no more than 25 times a game ever.
Blake Corum, very good running back. Yeah.
Reduced. Yeah, okay, great running game. But the thing is, you want your star player to be your quarterback, and you never was the star there. Never has been. Tell you, mate, he's a bum.
So James has put a pint of the draft party on it. I think that's a good one. That's a good call.
Okay, James. I'll take that bet. He's never going top 10, bro. Never.
Okay. They won the championship. Exactly.
Yeah. And there's my actual bro. Okay.
Yeah, your brother.
My real bro. If you want alt, get Fields and take alt at 2. Now, is it alt at 2? Yes. The thing is, I see what he's saying. If you desperately want someone like Alt, we'll take him where you're at. Don't mess around, because someone could take him ahead of you. I get it. But Fields is going to Atlanta anyway, so there's no chance that's going to happen. So, nope.
Yeah. Good shout as well from James. He said, what DBs have got the longest arms? Look at what we're after. That's the profile for DQ and Witt. Agreed. I don't know who has the longest arms, but that is kind of where we want to be.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm not. No jealousy. I'm a bit jealous. I'm a bit jealous, Jesse. You're looking buff. I get you. I get where you're coming from. I'm happy with that.
You need to keep that in your own head, man. Keep those thoughts to yourself, bro.
No. He's a good looking man. You can. We'll be all right with that. It's fine. All are welcome on this pod. All are welcome. David says Daniel Jeremiah has McCarthy going 8 to the Falcons in his latest mock draft, but Fields going there pushes him out of the top 10 spot, I think. Yeah, I think he goes to the Raiders. I think he maybe ends up at the Raiders. I think they're 11th. So it'd be quite interesting. Is that a half pint scouse between you and James?
Boom.
No,
Jesse. Boom. No, JJ Boom will be top 100 maybe.
You just keep going. Can you pop your mock draft on here, Scouse? See if we can get it up. See if we can get it up. Yeah, and we'll share screens and we'll see what we get up for your mock draft. I think it's a fair bet, James. I think it's a fair bet with Scouse.
I very rarely do them.
So let's see if we can get this going.
Entire screen.
Yeah, it's just present. Don't know. Try it. It'll be good. We'll see what happens. StreamYard, the joys. We'll see what happens, eh?
They won't let me share.
This is where we see Scouse's browsing history.
Yeah. Don't look too much into that, boys.
Yeah. There we go. We're on. So there you go. So you went Jaden Daniels at 2. Okay.
Yep.
Troy Furtado at 36. So is he right tackle or is he?
Yeah, he's playing right tackle for me. Yeah.
Darius Robinson, as we talked about at Mizzou, yes, edge rusher, unbelievable player, really, really good. Jatavion Sanders, another one of my draft picks who I really want to see.
He looks legit, man. He looks legit as a tight end.
He is massive as well, absolutely massive. You wanted to talk a bit about Dominic Pooney, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
you love the Pooney.
Yeah, I love the Pooney. Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, this guy's a really good guard. So for me, he's a very, very good steal at the kind of 101s, what, 5th round, isn't it? Very, very, very good steal, man. Got the size, played guard most of his career. He also played some tackle as well, but he's definitely more suited to guard at the next level. But very rarely gives up any pressures. I think he gave up I think it was 2 sacks this year, something like that, which is not bad. And also he'd be perfect for our left guard position. That's where I want to put him.
Fair one. Blake Corum at 103 from running back from Michigan. Wow, what a running back room that would be.
Imagine getting him.
A running back.
Imagine, yeah, I mean, the other 3 were a bit more of a stretch. One of these guys, the last 3. I mean, I knew what to play Corum, really. These guys were just more along the lines of position that we're going to need more of. So,
Quentin Newsom's probably not going to be there at 181. Be honest with you, out of Nebraska, he is a slot corner. He is pretty lengthy, and he's got an eye for the ball as well. So, be quite interesting to see.
What suits our system? I just don't know. I just don't know how to say. I don't know if it would be there, but I'd say. I mean, I didn't do any trades with this. I just kind of kept it the way it was, and this is how it fell. So, I'm saying if I can get anywhere near these kind of dudes, especially the first 6 there, I'd be very happy with that.
I like the fact that you've got a bit of backup there for safety as well, because ultimately, that's the other thing that we haven't heard. We know that I forgot to mention in the beginning of the news is Cam Curl is speaking to Cam Curl at the minute about potentially extending Cam, which is a great bit of news there. That's a really good draft there. Marshawn Keelan, to be honest with you, don't know a lot about him.
Yeah, I don't know much about him as well.
No idea.
More on the lines of another edge guy, because obviously we are a bit scared, a bit low in numbers around that area.
James, I wouldn't draft a kicker. There are a few kickers out there who are in free agency. So no, I would not draft them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yam, thank you, mate. Nice to see you too, buddy. I hope morning to you out in Japan. You haven't missed the show. You're still here, dude. We're still here. So we're just about finished though. But yeah, you're bang on time. Never late, which is a good thing, man.
I've got proof. I've got proof he doesn't throw the ball more than 25 times a game. That tells you his actual coordinator doesn't trust him. The play call doesn't trust him with the ball. So that proves it to me.
What I'm going to do here, Scouts, I'm going to finish this off with a question that came in from Scott G.
Tackle for me, James. I'm just answering these quickly, mate.
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
So tackle for me, James.
Yeah.
I knew Jan would say this. He hates Daniels. I just know.
I know he hates Daniels. You're right. We need a long snapper. No, do we?
We do need a long snapper, but we can get them in free agency. They're all shite anyway. So, brutal there.
I know.
Where's Gummidge right there?
That is me with my wife's hair over the top of me. Yeah, it's not. She's behind the couch there, putting her hair. Go, Wurzel Gummidge. How dare you?
He's a
JJ isn't a bum. He's just not one of the top guys. Yeah, he'll be a solid QB. I agree with
He's
that.
A bum.
Solid.
You stick with Sam Howell. If you want top draw, go for the guys we've been mentioning. The Daniels, the Mays, those guys.
So we'll finish off then, mate, with this question from Scott G. I thought this was quite funny. Who would dominate the combine events between the UK podcasters, Hartley, Lockhart, or Burrows? we all Washington UK fan would enjoy the underwear Olympics. Oh my God. I think I would run a probably 6.5 flat in the 40 yards. I would be absolutely terrible. I think you do quite well at the O-line drills. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, O-line drills. I think I'll be all right with. I think the bench as well. I'll probably be quite good with. You know, I've got the old beastie pecs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do all right with the bench. The bench and squatting, deadlifting, I'm all right with that. But that's rugby players for you. That's what you get when you play rugby. You if you're playing in the front row.
I think Burrows would beat us on the 40. I think he beat us.
I think so. I think we get a lick. I'd give him a good go, but I wouldn't get there. It'd be about 5 yards ahead by the end.
I think he,
and then I get to the. If you want to see funny things, I remember the guy's dick fell out on the 40 yards the other year. That was quite funny. But if you want to see something quite funny, it would be me running. No, it'd be me running the 40 and then spewing at the end of it. Yeah, definitely straight out the other side of the. Where's the exit stage left? Yeah.
I agree. That has really annoyed me as well because they're just too scared of losing their actual draft stock. Well, if you're good enough, get your ass in there and prove it. You know what I mean?
No.
Bad.
This hasn't happened. Bad optics. It isn't bad optics. This has happened for 3 years now. No one is working out.
Last year, Bryce Young was there. C.J. Stroud was there too. Anthony Richardson was there. All the main quarterbacks were there last year, and this year they decided not to show up.
Who did it the year before? Was it Lawrence, Wilson, and all them lot?
Wilson was there. Went? That's how Wilson went. That's how Wilson went to the draft board because he threw like an 80-yarder on the run.
It was his pro day.
No, that wasn't. No, that wasn't in the combine. It was in the combine.
I'll have to look at that because I remember watching shots of in BYU's training facility throwing a bomb, and then everyone went mental about it. I think it's been happening for a long time that they do pro days rather than.
I mean, I've heard Marvin Harrison is not going to do anything, not even his pro day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just saying, listen, you watch tape, off you go. Yeah, I mean, you got to remember as well, the college game has changed. I don't watch college football, be honest with you, because it's really difficult to sit and dedicate the time to doing college, football on a Saturday. It's very, very hard. But these guys are getting paid millions already because the NIL deal, they're getting paid a fortune.
And that's what's changing everything about these young guys coming up now, especially the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know, these guys don't have anything to prove. They're like, well, I'm already a millionaire. I don't need to do shit.
Exactly. You know I mean, David's right here. So these guys take advice, and the only thing they can really do is damage their stock. They're already projecting to go 1, 2, and 3. They'll throw at their pro days with their own receivers. Absolutely right, because their receivers know them. There's no problem with that. There's no when do height, weight, and hand size come out? That's going to be crazy on the socials. Probably right, mate. Probably right, Deluxe. I mean, everyone remembers Kenny Pickett's hands.
I get that, Darren. It is on Eden's advice. I get it. I get it.
Strong hand, child. Kenny Pickett.
It's just annoying, man. It's just annoying because if you think you're good enough, if you think you're going to be the number 1 overall pick, well, go out there and give us a clinic. Do you know what I mean? Show us a clinic, man.
This is the British. So for all those in the US and Japan and elsewhere in the world watching, this is the British NFL Combine. Absolutely right. James Lowe's nailed it. He said we could do a pub combine, darts, pool, and downing a pint.
You're screwed.
No, well, true. The downing a pint part. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I think he's talking about you there.
Yeah, he is talking about me, Darren. He's right. Yeah. The other thing is, he knows where I live, so it's not ideal. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly, man.
Long snapper in the 5th, Deluxe says. I don't know about that, mate. I don't know about that. Yeah, mate, that about Temeric Hemingway. Remember him, Jesse? If you're still here, oh dear, that was the sighting of Bigfoot. Yeah, that was the sighting of Bigfoot at.
Same here, Darren. Same here.
Where was that? That was at training camp. So yeah, if you ever get the chance to ask Jesse, he'll tell you the story about Temeric Hemingway. Very interesting story. But yeah, he got a fright That's
He
all.
definitely got a long snap.
He got a long snap. Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah. Exactly. You're right, Jesse. I'll never forget. Yeah, exactly that, man. Exactly that. Wow. But yeah, that about does us, mate. Thanks everyone in the chat. Really appreciate you being here, Darren, Jesse, Rod. You know, Deluxe, Scott G for putting questions in. David in the chat. Really appreciate it. Karen in the chat. Everybody's
it's like a 30% win rate or success rate, should I say?
30% success rate on QBs.
For first round QBs, yeah. So it's pretty low.
Exactly that. And also Ian in the chat as well. We appreciate that. You being in here
finally
too.
So the ball to put a message out there. He watches every
just
week.
Want to say
first time he's ever put one in.
Just want to say as well, I don't know how it works, obviously Twitter algorithms or watching things on YouTube. Doesn't look like we get the most views, on YouTube. Completely understand. Do you know what I mean? But in all honesty, we had over 600 people watch this show last week. So we cannot thank everybody enough for watching this. I mean, honestly, we're just two dudes who are sitting over this side of the pond, chatting shit to each other for an hour. Never thought anything would come of this, but we really appreciate you all being here. Look at the chat, it's going crackers. Really appreciate everybody from being here. And to be fair, I really enjoy this every Thursday. So thanks for being with me, Scouse, on here. We will look at doing a draft party for us again. I promise you that we will look into doing it. I'll have to tap Burrows for something somewhere down the line. Not sure where we're going to go. Probably somewhere kind of central. Last time it was in Edinburgh, far too far away. That, but
we'll track that one. Not going to lie.
Yeah, I didn't really like. I didn't really like going to the. I don't know if it's more. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, something like that.
Find something. See if we've got anything out there, or like
exactly. But yeah, we'll let everybody know. Don't worry about that. We'll get it in time. So thanks everyone for being with us. Even we can't thank you enough, and we'll see you again on the next show.
Bye.